Welcome to the WanderLearn podcast. I'm your host, Francis Tapon. In this episode, we're going to have two guests from Egypt. Both of them work for highendjourneys.com. They're both Egyptologists. The first one is Ramez Salama. The second one is his partner, Ahmed Aziz. Ramez we talked to very briefly, and then we get into an hour-long discussion with Ahmed Aziz, who took me all over Egypt. They're both fascinating. We talk about all sorts of issues. One of the things I like to explore is how did Egyptians go in just a span of 300 years, go from their ancient pagan religions, then into Coptic Christianity, and then they abandoned it all to adopt Islam, all in the course of 300 years. Is there another religion coming down the pipe that the Egyptians will adopt after this? How many children did the last generation have versus this generation? Do people use contraception? Is it available for free? Is there sex before marriage? Do people have sex during their engagement? What about virginity? Is it something that is prized and valued very highly, or is it something that's being forgotten? Was it the same thing back in ancient Egypt? By the way, was homosexuality a big deal in ancient Egypt or not? Has education suffered since the Arab Spring of 2011? Has women's rights improved? And finally, what is the future of Egypt? These and many topics are the things that we explore in this hour-long episode all about Egypt with High-End Journeys. Enjoy it. It sounds like we're in an echo chamber, but actually we're sitting in an Egyptian tomb?
We are actually sitting in a tomb that is 4,300 years old. My name is Ramez Salama. I'm an Egyptologist. I work with High-End Journeys. We are based here in Cairo, Egypt. And we do tours, by the way, all around Cairo. So where we are right now, we are in an off-beaten track, less visited tomb by the tourists. It's called the tomb of Ptah. He's one of the dignitaries of ancient Egypt, and he's basically buried here with his own son. So it's a family burial. So we have a tomb here to the left-hand side here that belongs to the father, and actually the son is buried next to him. You know, the ancient Egyptians believed that the sun dries every single day in the morning and it sets. The Nile floods every single year. The following year, the Nile would come again. So a man in ancient Egypt have said, if the Nile flush every year, if the sun dries every day, my life would be like a sun. My life would be like a Nile. And that's the main source why the ancient Egyptians have been paranoid about the life eternal. Because the natural phenomenon that surrounded them. So that's why all your life you'll be investing in tombs and temples. So all your life, I mean, like if you have a good status in your in daily life, I mean, like as a dignitary, you want to capture the moment that you had to happen again in the life eternal. So these carvings that I'm going to show you right now, these are not decorative carvings. These are carvings for the sake of the life eternal. In the darkness of the night of the tomb, the spirit will come out from the coffin, wander and roam around at night, reading all the hieroglyphics, turning every single thing to reality. So the carvings I'm going to show you right now, these are carvings to walk at nighttime.
And to give you a sense about how deserted this is, we are pretty much all alone here. There's not even a guard, and we're amongst this in this temple, truly an unseen part of Egypt.
So right now, where are we? We are in Dahshur. This is one of the least visited pyramids of Egypt. It's off beaten track. And nobody used to come here till like exactly 1997. In 1997, the Prime Minister decided to open this place for the public because there was a dispute between the Ministry of Antiquities and the Ministry of Defense and the Ministry of Petroleum, because we have a pyramids here, we have gas mining, and we have a military base. So that's why in 1997, they have agreed that the tourists could come to this archaeological site. It's a bit far away from Cairo, and it's not famous, but yet it's amazing because there's no vendors, no locals around you. It's too far that anybody comes here. So that's why you see the pyramids as the way how they have looked like thousands of years ago.
But it's not as far as, let's say, Luxor and Aswan.
Oh no, it's not far. So you're still in Cairo, but you get
about
to
1
drive,
hour? Or?
like an hour drive away from downtown.
Yeah.
Look here, far left here. That's a pyramid. It looks bent. It's a mistake that they built. As they were building, they've realized, hey, that's a wrong angle. Let's construct another pyramid with a right angle. That's why this is the only one king that have had two pyramids of his own, like one called the Red Pyramid and another one called the Bent Pyramid. And there's another pyramid called the Black Pyramid. You know, in Egypt, you have 115 pyramids. All the pyramids are named after something, either a color or a size, like the Great Pyramid of Giza because of the size. Second and third Pyramid of Giza because that's the second and third. That's the Red Pyramid because it looks like a red. It's covered with a red limestone building. Can you guys see that? Yeah. In the Bent Pyramid because it's a bent out there. The Black Pyramid, and it's truly black in color further at the back. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
So we're gonna start by the Bent Pyramid, then we go to the Red Pyramid, and you have a chance to enter. So if you like to go inside, that would be amazing.
Okay.
It's really harder than the Great Pyramid. Have you been inside the Great Pyramid?
Only the Queens.
Oh no, that's way harder. That's really nice.
Yeah.
So that is a good workout for the day, and then after that you can go back to the hotel and relax.
Right. What do you think about these stories that they found some hidden pockets and voids?
Things intact there.
No, but there was a report in 2017 about them finding an open space, a void, in the Great Pyramid or something.
Oh yeah, that's like last month.
Okay, well.
If they discover treasures inside, that would be amazing. It would return back to tourism back again. This is a chamber that nobody have entered. In 4,500 years, nobody knew about it. Even the robbers didn't know about it. So if we are able to go inside and discover things in there, that would be amazing. That would turn tourism straight ahead tomorrow.
But do you think that there really is a chamber there?
I think there is.
This is with the neutrinos, right? That they were bombarding something with neutrinos to find out the empty space?
Yes.
Not bombarding it, but in other words, collecting the data. And so you think that there is an empty space? Or
I think there is an empty space. Not empty. I think there would be something there.
We're in Cairo. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Ahmed.
Hello, Francis. My name is Ahmed Aziz. I am an Egyptologist and the founder of High End Journeys. It's a pleasure to be with you today.
Thank you. So tell us a little bit about what we're going to go see today and what's worth seeing, the unseen sides of Cairo.
Today, we are going to take you off the beaten track. We will start our day by visiting Coptic Cairo. This is where we're going to see some of the oldest churches in the Middle East. And we're going to know why we call the Christians of Egypt by Coptics, who are the Coptics, how they settled here in Egypt. And we're going to see pretty beautiful churches over there. They go back to the 4th century. One of them is called the Hanging Church.
Great. And then later?
And later on, we're going to go and visit also one of the oldest mosques. It's called the Mosque of Ibn Tulun. It dates back to the 9th century, and it's a beautiful, unique structure with a beautiful minaret that we could actually climb it. One of the very few minarets that we could get access to it and go all the way to the top and have a panoramic, amazing view of Islamic Cairo.
Excellent. And that's how we'll end the day at the...
And then we're going to end our day at the local market, which we call it Khan Khalili. We're going to take you through the hidden alleys of Islamic Cairo. That's where we go through one of the oldest streets as well. It's called Al Mu'azz Street. We see all the sabils, schools, or as the Arab call it, madrasas. And we end our tour in the heart of Khan Khalili, and probably will be hungry at that time over there, so we're gonna take you to one of the very nice authentic restaurants over there. We are now at St. Sergius Church, which is built on top of a holy crypt. A holy crypt where the Holy Family stayed for 2 weeks, hiding and protecting from the Roman persecution. This church goes back to the 4th century. It's one of the oldest churches we have over here. The pillars that we see around us here, those are marble pillars taken or quoted from Rome during the Roman Empire, as this proved that this temple one day was a Roman temple, dates back to the 2nd century before Christ, and then later on converted into a Coptic church. So we go and we sit over here and we talk more about who are the Coptic Christians of Egypt.
Tell us about the Coptics and how they got their name and where they come from. And
So actually the word Coptic is derived from the ancient Egyptian word Qubit, and the word Qubit means Egyptian. So all the Egyptians were basically called Qubit according to their language until the Arabs came and conquered Egypt, and that was in the 7th century. When the Arabs came to Egypt, the whole empire, or most of the empire, converted into an Arab Muslim country, except very few people who stayed on Christianity. So the Arabs started to use the term Qubit, which became in English later on Coptic, to refer to the Christians of Egypt. So only by the 7th century, when we mention the name or the word Coptic, we here refer to the Christians of Egypt. The Christians of Egypt nowadays represent 15%, 1/5 of the total population of the country. So 85% Muslims, 15% they are Coptic Christians. And guess how many Jews we have over here?
200.
Less than 200. 7.
7, okay.
7 only, 7
Okay.
people. Yes, you heard that right.
And they know each other? They're friends with each other?
Yeah, probably they live together.
Exactly. But before, Egypt had tens of thousands of Jews.
Before that, yes. And then they became, the Jewish community...
had what, 80,000 Jews maybe? Or
around even more than 85,000 Jews one day. And then the Jewish community started to decrease and diminish, especially in the 1940s, exactly, in the 1950s, due to when Israel was founded. And most of the Jews were encouraged to go to Israel or leave out of Egypt, especially when they felt threatened due to the political situation between Egypt and Israel at that time.
Isn't there a Jewish monastery, or not monastery?
A synagogue.
Synagogue.
Yes, and that's what we're going to visit next.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Now, before we do that, though, can you tell me a little bit about? I know you're not a Coptic yourself, so you're probably hazy on the doctrinal differences. But give your best understanding of what are some of the key differences.
So basically, Christianity started in the whole world by the same person, Jesus Christ, and Saint Mark, and and his disciples. They all spreaded the message all over the world, and the conflict came between all the sects about the nature of Jesus Christ, whether Jesus Christ was a human who became divine later on, or Jesus Christ was born as divine and he arose after he sacrificed to humanity. So actually that is the basic conflict among many sects over here, including of course the Coptic Orthodox sect.
So basically another way of saying it is that the Coptic people believe that Jesus was divine from the beginning and to the end, or until now.
Absolutely, yeah.
Versus the other Christians at the Council of Nicaea said, no, he wasn't divine from birth. He became divine after his death.
Absolutely, and that also brings the subject of who is Virgin Mary. Was she divine, or she was the mother of God and divine? So also that's part of the conflict over here. But of course the details are much more than that.
But their holy days on Sunday as well?
Sunday.
Okay.
Sundays. In a country like Egypt over here, where Muslims are the majority, so they have the Sunday service earlier than usual. They usually have the service at 7 o'clock till 9 o'clock, and then they go to work, because Sunday over here is a working day, is the first working day. So our weekends over here is Friday and Saturday, and Sunday is the first working day of the week.
And I've read that Coptics are relatively wealthy compared to other. I've heard this thing. I don't know if that's a myth or if there's some truth to that.
Actually, a lot of people, they say that.
Is it kind of like saying, like in America, a lot of times people say the Jews are very rich?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, actually, exactly. I guess it's about being a minority. It's more about feeling more secured.
Okay, but blacks in America are a minority, but they're not rich. Just because you're a minority doesn't make you rich.
Good point. A very good point. So yeah, but Jews and Christians are in Christianity over here. I would say being a part of a Muslim country, representing 15% of the population population. Yeah, of course, less number of churches than mosques, at least compared to the number of mosques over here. So the Christians are able to gather themselves around one community, around one structure, which is their church. So in each neighborhood, in each family, you found that church where the Christians go to, and they support each other. So whenever they have any one of them is having a downside in his business or in his life, you can find a huge and tremendous support from the rest of the church members. And that's, I guess, brings the equality among people or among the Christian community over here. So yes, the myth of saying no Christian is poor over here, basically because of the support that they give it to each other, the help,
So you would
whether
say-
financially or emotionally.
Okay, so basically there is a support network on many levels, not just economic, but
Not only economic, exactly, yeah.
but they look after each other, they help each other out, and as a result, maybe they do better off economically than the average Egyptian. So there is some truth to that.
There is some
Okay.
truth, big truth,
What
I
about,
guess.
can you just look at somebody on the street and say, haha, this guy's Coptic?
Not really, but
I mean, unless they're sporting some beard or wearing a big
I know
cross on their...
exactly that. I mean, unless they have like a Christian or a Muslim feature, then they would know. But
What
also
are
one of
those
the
features?
things.
Hold on, what are those features? Like, I see Coptics wearing beards, but of course Muslims wear beards too.
Okay, so the color of the skin would be a little bit darker. It's
The
not really
Coptics?
the Coptics. I would talk about like light brown skin, high cheekbones, slightly flat nose,
Okay.
curly hair, black eyes. Those are the traditional Coptic features, and actually those are the traditional Egyptian features, because Coptics are the origin of this country over here, although they are 15% of the population now, but they are the original people of the country here. And Muslims or Islam or the Arabs came to Egypt on the 7th century. Yes, I'm a Muslim, but that's a fact that we have to state.
So you're an invader.
I'm an invader.
came here last
actually,
week.
I'm a pure invader because my great grandmother was Turkish. So yeah, I have a Turkish origin. So that brings me even to the Ottoman Empire.
I'm invading from America right now.
Yeah, you're now. And we're both invading a church, actually. Yeah. So one of the worst questions that you could ask anyone over here is, are you Muslim or Christian? You know, the answer the answer that you can get is, does it matter to you? Does it make a difference? So it's one of the worst questions because, I mean, my religion should not matter much to you or matter much how you're going to treat me after that. So this is really proof how there is a great harmony between Muslims and Christians. And the proof is that my best friend is Christian. You know, we in High End Journeys composed of two partners. Ramez, who is an Anglican Christian, and I'm a Sunni Muslim.
Oh, he's not Coptic.
No, he's not.
Okay.
Actually, he's a Coptic Anglican.
Oh, how complicated.
Yeah. So any Christian in Egypt, he is Coptic.
And you are a Muslim Jewish person.
A Muslim Jewish, Muslim Turkish.
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah. So it is actually pretty much blended over here. So you wouldn't find Christians living in a certain neighborhood or Muslims live in a certain neighborhood. Although in the last few years, I would say, especially after the
Arab Spring?
The Arab Spring, as many people call it, and
The Arab winter.
Yeah, the Arab winter or autumn, whatever we want to call it. That's actually there were lots of created problems between both religions, between Muslims and Christians. I always say it was meant to be created problems to shake the stability of the state and the country. Famous or one of the famous pilgrimage places for the Christian is that the Holy Family traveled all the way from the Promised Land to Egypt and then back, and during this journey they stopped by many spots on the way and they camped in different spots. So those spots became very holy and sacred later on for the Christians and the whole world. So they started to build around them churches, monasteries, etc. So this is the crypt where the Holy Family stayed. Then they built over it a church, but before building that church in the 4th century, the crypt itself was converted into a basilica or a church back then in the 1st and the 2nd century. So that's the remaining of the restored church.
Was it underground at the time of Jesus?
Yes.
Okay. So So were people
It was
like,
under the ground. Yeah, they were hiding. They were hiding. And I will show you. So that's the original ground over there. That's where Jesus Christ, they say, stepped on. And let me share with you a very interesting story, by the way. One day, when I started my career, I had a priest from the U.S. and I wanted to impress him. It was pretty challenging. A Muslim taking a priest from the U.S. and he's pretty religious, coming with all the costume and everything, taking him to the Coptic church. So I wanted to impress him. So I told him, you know what? I'm gonna take you now to one of the most important places in the whole world. It's the place where where the Jesus Christ stayed for 2 weeks, stabbed and touched all the walls over there. You know what he said? Can you prove it? I kept looking at all the references that I studied. I couldn't find one proof. He said, yes, see, that's what religion means. It's submission. We don't have any proofs, but you have to believe in it. Who told you that Jesus Christ was here? It's people who have been telling each other year after the other, century after the other, until nowadays. But nobody can prove that.
It's probably similar to some extent with the Muhammad's Dome of the Rock.
Exactly. Actually, it's all about religion. Yeah. I mean, can we really believe that there was someone who took this journey from to heaven and back to earth like Muhammad, or splitting the Red Sea, or returning the sight to the blind, or all these miracles? Yeah. Rising the dead. Can anybody believe that? Absolutely not. But if you are a good, faithful, religious person, you should.
This brings up a really good point. I'll get to in a second.
Yeah.
So, in some ways, Egyptians have proven to be one of the most flexible faith people around. In around 300 years, approximately, they went from being hardcore paganists who believed in all the ancient Egyptian gods to becoming Christian and then ending up as Muslims in a span of roughly 300 years, maybe 400 if you want to stretch it.
Yeah, yeah.
And so they went through three different religions as a group, as a society. And so my question is when is the next change coming?
That's a good question.
You guys are pretty flexible.
Yeah. It seems that we're pretty flexible more about religions than politics.
Okay.
Yeah. When is the next change? I don't know. When is the next version of religion coming? But maybe, you never know. Maybe you heard that the Egyptians becoming Scientologists one day or something.
I don't know.
And Tom Cruise would be our prophet.
But what's your prediction, and what do you think is the lifespan of our current religions that dominate today?
No, I guess it's gonna stay as we are for another
100 years, 1,000 years, 2,000 years, 10,000 years.
I guess, another until.
As an Egyptologist, how long did the ancient Egyptians? How long did their religions last for? About 4,000 years?
4,000 years.
Yeah, 4,000 years.
So let's talk with the minimum over here and give it 1,000 years.
You're going to give it at least 1,000 years?
At least 1,000 years.
Another, you're talking
to stay as it is.
Okay, so Christianity, Islam, and all these religions will stay another 1,000 years at least, and they've already have over about 2,000 years in their pocket.
And by the way, that's a tricky question over here because it depends who you're asking this question. If you're asking me as an Egyptologist, historian, then let's talk with numbers, 1,000 to 1,000, agree or disagree. But if you're asking a religious person who believes in Judaism or Christianity or Islam, he would tell you it will stay like that forever until the end of the world.
Of course they will. Right.
So
but I'm asking you as looking at this as an alien would. Let's say you're coming from Mars.
Okay, so it's good to make up a number right now. 1,500 years.
1,500. All right, I'll see you in 1,500 years. We'll have another discussion.
Yeah, you never know. So we have just arrived to Ben Ezra Synagogue, which
I thought we were in an echo chamber.
Echo chamber, sounds like it though. No, actually, it's a synagogue, one of the very few oldest synagogues that we have and still intact up to now. We only have 7 Jews as we previously mentioned before, and we can see right in front of us over here the harem section. That means the women's section. It's where
on the second floor.
It's on the second floor. That's where a woman would be praying because in the Jewish religion, men and women, they cannot mix up together during the prayers,
which is
similar to Islam. Right. And I always see and think that there's a huge similarities between Islam and Judaism.
More so than Christianity.
More though than Christianity, actually. And nowadays you can see, the tremendous gap between both religions, between the Muslims and the Christians. But actually, it's not about religions more than it's about nations, as I believe. But both religions are pretty much the same.
So would you say that Islam is more similar to Judaism than Judaism is similar to Christianity? In other words, of the three religions...
Look, the three religions, we call them the religions of the book, because they all believe in the same God and the same messenger. And the fact that no people know it, few people know it, is that to be a Muslim, you have to believe in Judaism, you have to believe in Christianity, and you have to believe that Islam is the last religion sent by God to his people, is the last message sent to his people.
Sort of. In other words, in the sense that you have to believe in some of the basic principles of Judaism and some of the basic principles of Christianity.
Which are the same.
Yes, but I don't know, it depends on how you define the basic principles, because for Christians, a basic principle is that Jesus is the Son of God. For them, that's a basic
Absolutely
principle.
True.
And one of the basic principles of Judaism is that the Messiah has yet to come.
Yes, which also Muslims believe that.
Fair enough.
Exactly.
Fair enough. But so there's some truth to that there is a lot of commonality, but obviously there's enough differences that are keeping them apart. That's why they're still.
That's absolutely. And as I said, it's not about.
We can focus our energy on looking at the differences. We can focus our energy on looking at the similarities.
I totally agree with that. And unfortunately, nowadays people are focusing on the differences more than similarities, and how we all belong to same nation, same religion, same God, same belief. And even if we not, there's nothing that really makes us enemies.
Right, and frankly, even I go one step further and say, okay, even if you're a Buddhist or a Hindu,
doesn't matter. Why would this affect me? And the problem is that everyone in this world now is trying to fight in a certain country, claiming that he's representing that religion, and unfortunately, they are the people who are ruining the image of that religion.
Give me an example of some of the similarities between Islam and Judaism.
One of the things that always comes to my mind is that the Muslim circumcise their males at the time when they get born. So that's one of the things that always pop in my mind.
At the same time?
There's actually no really specific time that you should do it, but nowadays we usually do it at the time. Just immediately after the baby is born. Mm-hmm. You take him from the birth room all the way to circumcise him straight ahead.
Okay. And what about, and also their holy day is on Friday?
The Friday, actually, so.
Friday and Saturday.
Yeah,
Friday.
so for the Muslims it's Friday. Mm-hmm. For the Christians, for the Jews it's the Shabbat or the Saturday. Mm-hmm. And for the Christians it's Sunday.
For the Jews,
Friday night.
Exactly.
Night. For the Muslims, it's Friday noontime. That's when the Muslims go and pray the congregational prayer, which takes place on Friday at noon.
So you guys are just a few hours apart.
Few hours, exactly. Just after sunset.
And then the women and the men pray separately.
Pray separately, yeah.
Right? They don't eat pork, neither of them?
Neither of them, they eat pork. Right. Muslims are not allowed to drink alcohol.
Right. But the Jews can.
Jews can. I think there are
some
sects, Orthodox Jews that cannot drink alcohol as well.
Okay.
Yeah, but some sects they do that. It's same in Christianity, but there are some sects in Christianity that they do not drink alcohol at all.
Right.
Yeah,
and some are even vegetarian actually.
Yeah, absolutely, exactly.
Vegetarian. Any other similarities that you would say? Obviously, they both believe in the Abrahamic.
Of course,
and Isaac.
and Moses. All the biblical stories.
When I went to the top of Mount Sinai, you can see there's a mosque and a church.
A mosque and a church. Prophet Muhammad, mosque and a church side by side. Also, Prophet Muhammad claimed protection to the monastery of St. Catherine when it was threatened by the Arab travelers or the Arab Bedouins or the Gypsies who were wandering the desert at that time. So Prophet Muhammad, he claimed protection to the synagogue to the monastery, and this decree is still kept inside the monastery over there in Sinai.
Ahmed, tell me if you think Egypt will ever get back to where it was in the time of the pharaohs. In other words, top dog of the planet.
We're all looking forward to this moment, to be honest with you, Francis.
Next week?
Yeah, maybe. You hear about it when you go back home. I get asked this question all the time. What happened to the Egyptians since they built the pyramids? Yeah, I don't know what happened exactly, but it take us too long to get back.
The same question is asked to the Italians and the Greek. The Italians, what happened to the Roman Empire?
Yeah.
What happened to the Greek Empire for Greece? All three of your countries were top of the world.
Yeah.
Now
I guess this is a fact. Nobody stays at the top all the time. You go to the top, and then the curve goes down, and then you come up one day.
Okay, but when is that one day for Egypt? I agree with you. There's some cycles.
Okay, so the current status now in Egypt is getting stable. Hopefully it stays like that. Things are changing quickly, to be honest with you. The story is not folded up. Lots and lots of things happened in the last 7 years, to be honest with you. And some goods, some bads. Now it is stable. Tourism is coming back, which is a very essential source of income for the country, and money and economy is very important. So democracy is proceeding forward, I would say. We are proceeding our first step. Let's say we are in the primary school of democracy right now, but we are developing, we are getting better. We just need to trust ourselves, trust our nation, and move on.
So, project 50 years, 100 years?
You want to hear a number here?
No, you guys got a long way to go, it seems.
Look, I guess the next 10 years.
You've been at it for 1,000 or 2,000 years.
You're absolutely
trying to get
right.
back to your crown here.
No, from what I'm seeing here, I hope, and I'm assuming as well, that in the next 10 years, things are going to be remodeled. Hopefully to the good. And I trust it's gonna be to the better in the coming 10 years.
Do you think your boy? You have a son, right?
Yes, I do.
9-year-old son.
9-year-old son. So by the age of
will he have a better life than you?
Yes, I hope, and I'm confident that this would happen.
Inshallah, we'll see.
Inshallah.
So Ahmed, we're talking about children. Tell us a little bit about how your grandparents, how many children they had, and then your parents, and then you.
Okay, so that's pretty funny asking that. If you looked at my grandparents from my father's side, they have 10 children, 9 brothers and 1 sister. From my mother's side, there are 6 children, 3 boys and 3 girls. And there's a very funny story that my mom always tell me about it, that when both of them got married to each other, so my grandmother from my mother's side asked my grandmother from my father, and she asked her, why 10 kids? Isn't that too much? She said, I always wanted the girl, knowing that she has 9 boys and 1 girl. Okay. 9 boys and 1 girl. So she said, I was always looking for the girl. So my grandmother asked her, but the girl came number 5. What happened to the other 5? And she was speechless. So it just, it was like that. So in my case, I have only 1 sister. And I'm married now, and I have only 1 boy, and I'm not intending to have any other kids.
All right. But you still feel that you're an anomaly in this society of Egypt?
Yeah, actually you get pressured sometimes by family, by friends, pitying the single boy and worrying about his future, being raised by himself and facing the future by himself, and things that I'm totally against it, to be honest with you. My idea is that I'm not a big fan of children anyway, but I decided to have 1 kid and give him all my power, financial power, emotional power, everything I could give him, I will give it to him.
That's really fascinating what you say, because Ahmed, I've been to 54 African countries, and one thing is certain is that men universally want children. Now, sometimes I find some women who are skeptical about having too many children, but men, because they don't have to do any of the work to to raise the child. They often, especially in sub-Saharan Africa, they'll have a child and then they'll disappear, and then the woman has to raise him by himself. So of course he's all in favor of having children, having 10, 20, who cares, because they don't have to do sometimes much effort.
It's the mother who does the whole work. Yeah.
Right. And so what you just said is really remarkable, saying that you were not a big fan of having children. So please elaborate on this, because I think you're the only African man I've ever met who would say something like that, which is, I mean, I'm with you, but by the way, because I have no children either.
Yeah.
But just curious what your logic is and how do you stop
I don't know, actually. Maybe it's my Turkish blood. I don't know. Maybe they don't like kids in Turkey. But don't forget something. Over here in Egypt, we do not only consider ourselves Africans. We consider ourselves Africans, Middle Easterns, Mediterraneans, Arabs, of course, and a Muslim nation. So we are all that mixed up together. And of course, the Ottomans came, and other nations came, and Greeks and Romans. So we are a mixture of all this. And that's what makes an Egyptian.
Understood. But still, I mean, I haven't voyaged around to the Middle East or all the Arabic countries, but my guess is that your feeling about, not being so enthusiastic about children is still a rare thing in all those cultures, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
But I haven't been there, so I don't know. All I can talk about is African culture. It just...
Yeah,
so,
I know quite a few who are like me, to be honest, but they're not too many. Like, all my friends, they have at least 2 kids. And
At least?
At least, yeah, 2 to 3.
Okay.
2 to 3, yeah. To be honest with you. But personally, I guess it's more of a me thing, not like a concept in... I just don't like kids.
Yeah. Is it just is just that they are very needy and distracting?
Exactly. Look, my idea. I love traveling in life. Okay, and my wife also loves traveling. We both do that, and we.
Does she work?
She actually.
She has the Airbnb.
She has the Airbnb.
Yeah.
So we both love traveling, and we would spend all our money in traveling. So traveling with kids in general is hard.
We're gonna plug your house. So you're a super host on Airbnb.
Yeah.
What's the name of the house in case somebody's in Cairo and wants to stay in your
studio with a rooftop terrace?
Okay, and how much is it per night?
It's an average of $40 to $45 per night.
And what do you get?
Nice
view?
Get a nice rooftop terrace with the studio that is fully equipped with everything that you want and you need for a short or a long stay, actually.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, and so if you stay there for a week, it's a bit of a discount?
Yes, and for you we do it with a big discount if
Woo!
you want.
So if you mention the Francis Tapon,
we'll exactly. Just mention it.
Okay, good. So basically, getting back to children or so, you think that there's going to be a continuing downward trend in the fertility rate? Right now we're at 2.8 children per female.
The government are doing a tremendous effort to raise the awareness of the people of having maximum 2 children and the disadvantages of having bigger size families in order to give them proper education, proper healthcare and everything else. So there is lots of awareness programs that is going viral all over Egypt.
But is contraception widely available and free?
Yes, it is, but not free actually. But it is available.
Yeah, because if it was free, then it would really help decrease the fertility rate in a big way. So you can't go to a clinic and get condoms for free or anything like that.
And I guess in the health clinics in the countryside and the villages, they would do that, or at least subsidized.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because it seems to me that's the big thing. But the challenge also is, I guess we want to talk about another unseen side of relationships, which is sex. In other words, officially, you're not supposed to have sex before marriage.
Yeah.
What's the reality? What percentage of women are virgins on their day of marriage?
You would never ever know something like that, and the reason for this is it's like you said, it's a major thing over here in Egypt. So if the community and the society knew about an unmarried girl or a lady who is not virgin, this would put her in a big trouble. But I mean, not big. At least she would be badly pictured in the community around her. So you would never know that. People would never admit this. So you do whatever surveys you want to do. You go and ask the people whatever you want to ask them. Nobody would give you a proper answer. Nobody would give you the reality.
Do you know of women who've gotten surgery to put back their hymen?
I've heard, but I don't know anybody in person, but I've heard, of course.
Okay. Because in Morocco, I kind of got this sense when I talk to people, it's like women are expected to be virgins, but of course men are not.
Yeah.
And so, but then I say, well, if the women can never have sex and they're being vigilant, people looking at them all the time, who are these men having sex with?
Yeah.
And it turns out I met this 19-year-old guy from Mauritania, for example, and he always had sex either with prostitutes or with divorced women. That was their target market.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
It's the same thing in Egypt. Like if a man is 17 years old or 20 years old and he wants to lose his virginity,
that is absolutely. When a man wants to lose his virginity, he wouldn't be really picky, to be honest, especially for a teenager. To be honest with you, in my opinion, yes, unfortunately,
but they can't do it with other teenagers.
Unfortunately, the man, of course, wants to have sex before marriage and lose his virginity. But when he gets married, the last lady he would think about her is the one that he had sex with her before marriage without having an official relationship. Unfortunately, that's the mentality for many people around the Arab world in general. So when the man wants to get married, he would look for a lady that's preferably not been married before, preferably didn't have a boyfriend, preferably not been touched before or had sex, or even got kissed before. To that extent, people get selfish, or men get selfish.
But I'm just trying to imagine who are these people they're having sex with? In other words,
prostitutes, divorced, a girlfriend who lost her
virginity with somebody else,
or with him personally, because she thought that he's the one. And in the teenaging, every girlfriend we meet, we think that she is the one.
Okay, but what about this? Like, for example, I just met an Egyptian, his name is Mustafa, and he just got engaged. And I'm just curious, like, the engagement period is one year. What percentage of people during that engagement period, of whether it's 1 year or 1 month or whatever, lose their virginity during that engagement period? The society allows them to look at each other, and
yes,
and to spend time with each other. And by the way, we're in a car.
Yeah, you can sense that from the sensors. Look, for myself, I was engaged for around a year and a half. Mm-hmm. And that would be the average of most of the people around as well. 2 years to 3 years maximum. It depends on your financial situation as well. Yes, a lot of people, they would
2 or 3 years.
Yes, it depends on your financial situation, because you're always waiting to save the money to get the apartment, furnish the apartment, and if there's no money, nobody would settle to live in less than the average expected apartment or furniture or whatever. So they would just wait. The parents of the bride would always want to secure her future, even if they cannot afford that, but they still want her to live in the best flat ever, or apartment, or whatever, and they would just wait until things gets done.
So, and they have to buy it. They can't rent it.
They can rent it. They can rent it or buy it, but it has to be up in a proper place. And
because some people might actually rent it for, let's say, I can afford to rent it for 6 months, and after that I ran out of money, and we got to go down to the little crappy place.
Of course, and that's what a lot of people do. And
so they make the parents happy for 6 months. And then money ran out. Sorry, I got to go live in the slums again.
Absolutely.
So that happens.
Yeah, that happens, and I guess during the engagement there will be a lot of exceptions.
Okay, when you say exception, sorry, that's when women will lose their virginity.
Yeah.
Would you say majority will?
No, absolutely not.
Really?
Yeah, because what?
So they'll stay engaged for 1, 2, or 3 years and not ever have sex with their fiancé?
Surprisingly, and of course, everything got its own rule and exceptions, but surprisingly, that's my personal analysis here.
Okay.
is that when that man who always wanted to have sex before marriage and whatever, when he fell in love with that lady and they got engaged and he decided to take, a serious step, he doesn't want to do this with her, and he wants to save this moment for marriage or the marriage day. So a lot of men, even those who did that before marriage, they still don't want to do it with their beloved one.
Unless for some reason they realize, I'm going to maybe dump her.
Exactly, or putting this as a possibility. So because he loves her so much, he doesn't want to face a trouble or a problem in the future in case they didn't continue together. That would be also a very vital mentality. So in case, okay, they are engaged now, but what if it didn't work out and they separated? So he wouldn't want to do anything with her. He wouldn't want to sleep with her and let her lose her virginity in case they got separated.
Because he'll shame the family.
Not only that, but more about caring about her and caring about her future even without him.
Because he realizes he'll ruin her other possibilities of getting married.
Absolutely, that's what I mean.
Okay. So a man who he says, okay, you've been engaged before, he'll still consider it, but if a girl has lost her virginity, that's a really bad thing.
Absolutely.
I wonder why there's this obsession with virginity also. I just don't understand it. And it's just like, for some people, it's like, there's some...
I don't know, but I guess it's more like...
I wonder if, you're an Egyptologist.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea whether...
No, it has nothing to do with the ancient Egyptians.
No, but I'm asking, did ancient Egyptians value virginity? Was that in any of their texts? Like, the woman shall be pure... is that documented?
No, actually, no. There's nothing that says that.
Do you have any idea of the laws of promiscuity and like?
It's about religions. The point is that if she lost virginity, then she had sex before marriage, which is completely forbidden for Islam and for other religions. And it comes to that extent.
But it's not. I don't think you can blame it on religion 100% because. In no religion, all religions in the world, you're supposed to be a virgin, including the men, by the way. And most Muslim men are not virgins when they get married. That's a fact. And so I don't think it's
really most like that.
Come on.
Yeah.
Well, you can say it better than I do. I don't know about Egypt, but I think so I don't think it's religion, because religion tells men cannot have sex before marriage. In Christianity, Judaism, all religions. There's
all
not
religions.
a religion.
That's
right?
absolutely correct.
So I don't think it's religion 100%. There must be some sort of culture. That's why I asked you about the ancient Egyptians.
Being a man that wants that virgin had never been touched, which is more precious. I guess that goes back to the early Arab time, which they really valued that.
More so than the ancient Egyptians, anyway.
More than the ancient Egyptian.
So ancient Egyptians, all the pharaohs and all that.
It was
stuff?
more of the tribal Arab culture and traditions.
Because the pharaohs had many wives, for example, and I think the nobles also.
Everybody who can afford, you just go buy.
Or was it
you could also buy, because there are lots of harem they could buy in the market over there in the ancient Egyptian time. Yes, there were lots of slavery in the ancient Egyptian time.
But it's different when you're buying a slave and then she becomes your wife.
Or you could marry more than one. I mean, in Islam you could also marry more than one now.
Up to 4, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I guess what I'm trying to get at is, were those ancient Egyptians, the pharaonic times, that kind of stuff? There's no mention about virginity anywhere as far as...
because this concept does not only exist in Egypt. It exists in the Arab countries, Gulf countries. And I guess this goes back to the early Arab traditions, as I said, not only for Islam and religion.
So you think all this comes from Arabic traditions rather than...
You don't hear about it in other... Do you hear about it in India? I mean, I'm asking you now.
India, I have never been to India, so I don't know.
Okay.
So I don't know.
But you don't hear about it in Europe, let's say. You don't hear about it in...
The desire for virginity. But I bet you if you went to the Middle Ages in Europe, I bet you they would say, no, a good Christian woman is a virgin.
Exactly.
So I think it's in the religion. It's just that they've decreased it, and you ask most Europeans, they're still Christians officially. That's what they'll claim. And but they no longer follow most Christian practices.
Okay. There are things that were considered basics, basics in the word from the Middle Ages, and then these things became very common nowadays. Homosexuality homosexuality was
Sure.
completely
Normal.
forbidden and a
No.
shame.
Well, it was a normal back in Greek time.
In Greek time, I'm talking about the Middle Ages. I'm talking about the 18th century, 19th century. That's not even. Let's go back 2 centuries ago. 2 centuries ago, homosexuality was a shame.
Of course, sure. Well,
And now-
even not even 2 centuries ago, just 20 years ago.
Absolutely, yeah.
It wasn't that long ago. But
Things are changing around us.
and by the way, it's still a shame. Let's be real. It's still a shame in the Middle East and in most of Africa.
Absolutely. So there are things that
But
were
hold
considered
on,
like.
let's go back. Since you're an Egyptologist, I'd like to take advantage of this and the fact that, tell me about in ancient Egypt, was there homosexuality?
I guess it's more of a human thing, as we all know. So I bet it existed.
No, but was there like
But it was
hieroglyphics? Was there art like showing 2 men with each other, 2 women with each
As
other?
far as I know, there's nothing that shows homosexuality.
Okay.
But I bet it
Celebrating
existed,
it or
and
making it sound
I'm
normal?
confident it was forbidden in the ancient time.
You think so?
Yeah.
It's just interesting because during the Greek time, the ancient Greeks, it was completely
Yeah.
normal. I think
Yeah.
Aristotle was bisexual. I know Alexander the Great was
Yeah, there are
bisexual.
lots of rumors that says
Right.
that. Yeah.
So I think it was a pretty normal thing to be bisexual back, at least
Back in the Greek time, but in
Right.
the ancient, in the ancient Egyptian, it was not. It was not, and not a single scene that shows something or talks about it.
But were there stela or any kind of laws written that hieroglyphics as saying prohibiting homosexuality?
No.
A man shall not lie with a man, blah blah blah. Not that you know of.
No, not that I know of.
Ahmed, what do you think has gotten better or worse since the Arab Spring of 2011?
Oh yeah, there are lots of course positives as well as negatives before and after the Arab Spring. Least to mention, the positives is that I guess people has the courage to speak and to express their opinion freely without feeling afraid from governments or any bureaucracy or anything. So I can say that the freedom of speech is getting better. Founding of political parties is getting easier and more liberal, I guess. Also, talking about that, some of the negatives are the illiteracy of the Egyptians in democracy and how to express their opinion in a respectful way without hurting others and by respecting other opposite opinions as well. And this caused a lot of struggles and debates that is not really doesn't usually end in a nice way between two different opinions. That's something that we need to learn. We need to learn how to express our opinions freely without hurting others and also with the respect of the others.
You know, it's funny, I saw a YouTube video that showed a combination of it's like a montage, a collage of videos of like news shows where the two people, it was somewhere in the Arab world, it was in a bunch of places where they started going into fist fights on television, beating each other up because you insulted me, so I'm going to go up there and throw this water in your face or beat you up on television, for God's sakes. So what do these, and they're all there sitting in their suits and ties looking so respectable.
Yeah, in the parliament or whatever. You see that.
Coming to blows. I'm like, are we children?
Isn't that funny? And those supposed to be the
educated ones.
The most sophisticated people in the community. Yeah, funny. So there are lots of.
So education, has it suffered?
Education, I can't say that there's much changing in education. Before or after, we're still trying to progress, we're still trying to develop. Currently there's a very good minister of education who is in charge now, and he has come up with pretty good plans. I guess it will boom the educational system in Egypt in the coming years. So I hope he has the time to implement and impose his new system that he is presenting it to the government.
What about women's rights?
Women's rights, actually women were I would say the secret soldier behind the success of the Arab Spring and what happened in the last 7 years. Women stood firm and strong in the last 7 years. They supported very much whether the Arab Spring or post-Arab Spring, when the Egyptians revoluted against the Muslim Brotherhood and the former President Morsi. Lots of the liberal, moderate Muslim and Christian women, they really were upset from the former regime. And
the Morsi regime, which was the
Morsi regime, which is the Muslim Brotherhood. And they always say that the secret behind the success of this revolution were the Egyptian women.
Do you see the trajectory? Is there a general vibe in the country? Is there a trajectory that things are going to get better, that things have gotten better? Or do you think most people think... I've been looking at some opinion polls, and it looks like the Egyptian optimism and view of the future looks kind of bad.
Yeah, unfortunately, you can say that people are divided at this, to be honest with you. Like a lot of people, they are very optimistic, including myself, about the future of the country, and that we just, everyone has to work himself and make his circle around him better, and create a positive bubble around himself and his community. And there is another half who are pretty pessimistic, let's say, about the future. And
what are they complaining about? Are they complaining about
economic situation?
Okay, so but unemployment during the Mubarak regime, toward the end of the Mubarak regime, was really bad. The unemployment was super high.
Exactly. The problem is that people want very fast results, and that wouldn't happen. Mubarak was in the regime for 30 years, and before him Sadat, who also had his economical issues that the country suffers from up till now. So it's really hard for anyone who would come now and change everything immediately and innocently. This would never happen. It needs a magician, okay, to solve the problem from the roots. So
how about a pharaoh?
A pharaoh? No, I guess this is even exceeding the pharaoh's power. They could build pyramids, but they cannot solve the current problem. So my my opinion is that nobody would come at this moment now and change something innocently. It needs time. And what makes me feel optimistic is that we have started, in my opinion, and some things are improving, others are not.
Let me ask for some practical issues like traffic. General respect for are the police nicer? Is there more trash on the street, less trash on the street?
The traffic is the same. That's a serious problem that we are suffering from.
By the way, we're sitting here in traffic.
And we're sitting, by the way, stuck in the traffic. However, so what was the other thing you said?
Trash on the streets.
Yeah, trash on the streets. Yeah, garbage, unfinished buildings, all these things. The infrastructure needs a lot of work. So the infrastructure needs a lot of work and development. But let me tell you something about one of the major positive factors nowadays. Safety. Why?
But Egypt feels really safe right now.
Right now. Yes, a lot of people, would disagree with me. Outside of Egypt.
How many major capitals with 10 million people, can you walk around safely at night anywhere?
Exactly.
It's only in Tokyo and a couple of other places where you can walk almost anywhere in a city in Cairo and nobody will mug you, assault you, rape you, or anything like that. It's pretty much unheard of and this is super rare, not just in Africa, but anywhere on the planet, for a mega city like Cairo is over 10 million people to be this level of safety.
Let me tell you something. During the revolution time, during the Arab Spring, I remember that day on the 28th of January when the revolutionaries took over the police, and it was 2011, and it became chaotic at that time. This was my first time ever in my life to hear a gun shot. My first time ever in my life, and I didn't believe my ears. Is that really gunshots? And things were unstable in the last few years, but look at it right now. Yes, things are stable. What we have now, we didn't have in the last 3, 4, 5 years. So that's an improvement that people A lot of
Security.
people, they do not appreciate
Yeah.
or they do not see security. I mean, we start to
a
get...
woman can walk in the street at night and nobody bothers her.
Exactly. I mean, would I ever be concerned about my wife coming back home at midnight? Never. Would I ever be concerned about my son going in a school field trip anywhere around Egypt? Never. So being a tour guide, I always encourage my travelers to go and walk and discover the city. And they asked me, is it safe? I said, yes, of course it is safe. No pickpockets. I mean, of course there are, exceptions like in any other country, but
It's
it
much
is safe.
more rare.
They asked me, go walk 1-2 o'clock in the morning. It is safe.
Yeah. So that's one good thing.
That is, in my opinion, the highlight of the positive factors that we have.
But wasn't it safe under Mubarak?
Pretty safe.
It was pretty safe.
Pretty safe. And to be honest with you, someone like me, I actually belong to a middle class family, born and raised in Cairo before the revolution time, and many people, millions of other Egyptians like me here. I didn't suffer during the time of Mubarak. I was born, he was there. Everything was pretty stable. The last thing I had to be concerned of were fear, because I felt very safe. I know we are in good relationship with other neighboring countries, with the West, with everybody. So I never felt threatened or anything like that. Mm-hmm. That's a bless that I had during the time of Mubarak. When the revolution came, and I was not very much convinced with what they call the Arab Spring, I said, okay, maybe it doesn't mean that I was not affected during the time of Mubarak, that everything was fine. Let's go with the flow. Let's see the demands of the poor people. I should not be selfish, and let's watch and learn. And unfortunately, things turned backwards, not forward at all. So nowadays I can tell you that yes, of course it has its positives, but we were pretty stable during the time of Mubarak. Yes, economically we were struggling, but if you would like to change, if you want to change, yes, you need to do something. You need to solve the problem from the roots, and that's probably what we did in 2011. And the book's still open and the story is not folded up yet.
And do you think that the power play between those who want to go back to the 7th century versus those who want to go into the 21st, or what's the power play between these two? How would you say who's going to win that one?
You mean like religiously or
overall? I mean, you have some people who want the Sharia law to go back into the 7th century. Other people say,
I mean, you always find these kind of people, and
no, I understand that, but in some societies, let's say in Afghanistan, they are the majority.
Not anymore.
Right.
And that's why the Egyptian revoluted against the former regime, because that's what the former regime wanted. They wanted the Sharia law. They wanted to radicalize the country, and
you're talking about the Morsi regime.
Talking about Morsi time, and that's why more than 35 million people revoluted against that regime all over the country. So that is a proof that Egyptians do not want that. They reject.
But at the same time, they don't want Europe's progressivism or whatever, Europe's values either.
Absolutely. I mean,
they don't want their women walking around in miniskirts and...
No, they just want moderation. Everything is moderate.
Right, but what's moderate for a Muslim country might be conservative for a...
Absolutely,
Christian
and
or whatever.
In Egypt over here, you find all styles and all cases.
But you don't find girls running around in miniskirts.
You have to be in a better place. No, actually, you find all types. But don't forget.
So I can find miniskirts in Egypt?
Yes, if you come to,
belly dancing?
A bit. Yeah. No, actually, the point is that...
like for example, just like the dating scene, just the fact that men and women, it's a very different dating scene versus the Western world. I'm not saying anything is bad about it. I'm just saying it's different.
I know what you mean.
And it's not the same in Saudi Arabia. It's even more conservative, right?
It depends which social standard you belong to. It depends.
I see. So if you have a high income family, most likely, well, not necessarily actually.
More
Maybe-
westernized, let's say.
More westernized,
They were educated in international schools, or they spent some time outside of Egypt educating or whatever. So they are kind of more open and more exposed to the Western culture.
Right.
So you find, you need to know who you are dealing with. So you cannot really go and approach, like the Egyptian traditional greeting is that men kiss each other from two cheeks and ladies kiss each other from the two cheeks, but men and ladies, they do not kiss each other.
And that wraps up this week's episode of the WanderLearn podcast, where we explore travel, technology, and transformation. I'm just going to ask you for one simple favor before you go, one small favor, and that is to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your friends, review it, and send me lots of money. How about that as one simple favor? Seriously, guys, if you'd like to know a little bit more about what we talked about in the show, like the show notes, links to things that we talked about, go to WanderLearn.com. If you would like to comment on the show, go to WanderLearn.com and make your comments known there. Tell me what you thought, what you liked, what you didn't like, anything that you thought about the show. Second of all, if you'd like to support the show, one way to do that, you can go to WanderLearn.com/shop, buy something at the shop. I would love it. Also, if you'd like to sponsor a show, you can send me an email at ft@francistapon.com. That's ft@francistapon.com. This show was edited by Rejoice Tapon. The music was done by David Hamilton. This is Francis Tapon, encouraging you to wander and learn.